Nobody saw this coming, not even the people sitting front row. The 2025 BET Awards were supposed to be just another glamorous night in Hollywood, but what happened on that stage lit the internet on fire. Tyler Perry, the man who once gave Meghan Markle a place to hide from the royal circus, just flipped the script. And when he delivered that now viral line about people borrowing blessings like they're owed, it didn't take long before every camera, tweet, and headline locked onto one name: Meghan Markle, the same woman he once sheltered, defended, and uplifted when the entire world seemed to turn on her. So what went wrong? Why did her biggest ally become the one to deliver what many are calling the most polite takedown in awards show history? And what happened behind the scenes that made Perry, the man who once gave Meghan and Harry the keys to his $18 million home, finally speak out? Let's rewind the tape, because this story isn't just about a speech. It's about betrayal, manipulation, and a Hollywood reckoning that's been a long time coming. It started like a fairy tale escape. In 2020, when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped away from the royal family and the world watched with bated breath, one man quietly stepped forward to catch their fall: Tyler Perry. While palace gates slammed shut and headlines ran wild, Perry offered something the royals never could: safety, privacy, and unconditional support. He opened the doors to his $18 million Beverly Hills mansion. No rent, no strings. He even covered their security, knowing full well the media storm that followed them. In those early days, Perry wasn't just a friend. He was a lifeline, a silent guardian making sure the couple had a place to breathe in a country that didn't know what to make of them yet. To the outside world, it looked like an incredible act of generosity. But behind the scenes, that kindness came at a quiet cost. Perry has since revealed that the emotional weight of that favor lingered far longer than anyone realized. At first, he thought he was helping two people in need, but as time passed, that relationship stopped feeling like friendship and started feeling like obligation. The phone calls slowed, the gratitude faded, and the connection that once felt genuine began to seem transactional. Perry didn't speak up right away. He's not the type. But the silence started to sting. And over time, it became clear that while he had given everything, he was left with nothing. Not even a thank you. But that was only the beginning, because what came next would push Perry past the point of no return. The BET Awards stage wasn't where anyone expected the truth to come out. Tyler Perry was there to accept an honor, not deliver a bombshell. But as he stood under the spotlight, surrounded by applause, he veered off script. And that's when everything shifted. His voice was calm, measured, no drama, no names, but every word hit like a warning shot. "I offered someone my home, my help, and my heart," he said, pausing just long enough for the room to feel the weight. "Only to be ghosted when I wasn't useful anymore." Then came the line that stopped the internet cold. "Some folks borrow blessings like they're owed, but never return the favor." No one needed him to spell it out. The crowd, the viewers, the media, everyone knew who he was talking about. Meghan Markle. This wasn't petty, it wasn't rage, it was something colder. It was a man who had reached his breaking point, who had stayed silent long enough. And while the camera never panned to the audience for reactions, backstage sources say you could feel the tension like static in the air. People weren't just shocked, they were stunned that he was the one saying it. Because if someone like Tyler Perry was willing to speak out, you knew something serious had happened behind closed doors. And it turns out, it all boiled over because of one moment. One request, one line crossed. For years, Perry had kept the doors open. But insiders say the turning point came with one unexpected ask. Meghan reportedly contacted Perry, casually requesting access to his private jet. No discussion of logistics, no offer to cover costs. Just an assumption that the answer would be yes. But this time, it wasn't. Perry declined, not for financial reasons, but because something felt off. After all he'd already done, the request didn't feel like friendship anymore. It felt like entitlement. When he said no, Meghan allegedly lashed out. What little gratitude remained turned to frustration. She wasn't asking, she was expecting. That, insiders say, was the final straw. Perry realized this wasn't a healthy friendship. It was a pattern. Others had seen it too. Staffers and producers warned him, "She doesn't repay favors, she banks them." Perry had ignored the signs for too long. But after that call, he knew the truth. He wasn't being generous, he was being used. And that changed everything. Once Perry started looking at the relationship differently, the pieces started falling into place. What he once saw as isolated incidents now looked like a clear pattern, and he wasn't the only one seeing it. Insiders say Meghan had a way of framing every favor as if it were mutual, like everyone was lucky to be helping her. But behind closed doors, there was no follow-up, no thanks, no offer to return the favor. And as Perry's influence helped her and Harry land on their feet in the US, she quietly began cutting him out of the picture. Producers who worked with Perry said he'd become increasingly withdrawn on the topic. He didn't want to badmouth anyone, but the silence spoke louder with each passing month. Netflix deals, Spotify partnerships, podcast launches, millions were flowing in. Meghan's public image was that of a powerful, self-made woman who had overcome everything. But behind the scenes, the people who helped her climb that ladder were left out of the story entirely. Perry had let it slide, hoping it was just a misunderstanding, that maybe life had gotten too busy. But when it kept happening, when her gratitude remained silent even as her success grew loud, he realized there was no misunderstanding at all. This wasn't about two people needing help anymore, it was about one person rewriting the narrative, without crediting the people who made it possible. Tyler Perry's speech wasn't just a personal stand, it was a signal to Hollywood, and the ripple effects started immediately. By the next morning, phone calls were flying. One of the producers attached to Meghan and Harry's upcoming Netflix pitch reportedly backed out just hours after the BET Awards aired. Another investor, who had already sat through 2 planning meetings, didn't mince words. "I don't want to be involved in something that feels this toxic." It wasn't about the documentary content, it was about the people behind it. Meghan's name, once a shining symbol of reinvention and resilience, had suddenly become a liability. Platforms that once saw her as a PR goldmine now saw red flags. The story had changed, not because tabloids twisted it, but because someone from her own circle had finally spoken out. And it wasn't just anyone, it was Tyler Perry, a studio-owning powerhouse with a reputation for loyalty, discretion, and class. He's the guy who moves quietly, helps privately, and never stirs the pot unless there's no other choice. So when he throws shade, people pay attention, because they know he must have been pushed too far. And just like that, Meghan's strongest shield became the match that lit the fire. And the industry, which thrives on image and whispers, started listening very, very closely. The moment Perry's speech went viral, Archewell, Meghan and Harry's foundation, scrambled into full damage control. PR specialists were called in, crisis managers briefed. The goal? Reclaim the narrative before it slipped too far. Meghan's team immediately began reaching out to major outlets, offering exclusive interviews, behind-the-scenes access, and even pitching a podcast rebuttal where Meghan could clarify the misunderstanding. But the media didn't bite. Not this time. Instead, the harder her team pushed, the more it reeked of desperation. And that's when the public started asking the question that Meghan's team feared most. What exactly are they trying so hard to hide? Sources say multiple reporters were offered access in exchange for sympathetic coverage, an old tactic. But it didn't land. If anything, it made things worse. Journalists began privately comparing notes. The timelines didn't add up. The messaging felt too polished, too strategic, too rehearsed. And just like that, the sympathy Meghan had spent years cultivating started to unravel. Because when someone rushes to fix a story that fast, people stop listening to the words and start looking for the truth behind them. Once Perry broke his silence, the floodgates opened. Friends confirmed he never wanted to go public. He'd stayed quiet for years, believing in second chances. But after feeling manipulated and used, he chose to protect his name before it got dragged into something deeper. And the moment he spoke, others followed. A former assistant called Meghan's work environment emotionally exhausting, saying she micromanaged everything and cut out anyone who disagreed. A Spotify producer claimed her obsession with perfection killed ideas before they had a chance. Collaboration wasn't welcome, only control. Then came a telling silence from Oprah. Once a vocal ally, she made no public comment after Perry's speech. No tweet, no defense. Insiders say the relationship had quietly faded, calls unanswered, meetings postponed. It wasn't just Perry anymore. It was a slow, steady exodus. And Hollywood, always watching which way the wind blows, began turning its back. As days passed, the story didn't fade, it escalated. What started as a quiet speech became a full-blown unraveling of Meghan Markle's carefully crafted image. One of the most explosive claims came from Perry's own camp. Meghan had allegedly used his name in a 2024 funding pitch without his consent, implying he was a silent backer to impress elite investors. When word got back, Perry wasn't just upset, he was done. Insiders say that was the moment he decided to speak, not out of revenge, but to protect his name from being used as a pawn. Then, more voices joined in. A publicist said Meghan's team tried to blacklist reporters who asked the wrong questions. A former Archewell consultant claimed she dismissed strategic advice unless it flattered her narrative. And one staffer summed it up. It was a workplace where gratitude went to die. These weren't trolls, they were insiders, people who once believed in her. And that's what made it so damning. Through it all, one voice remained silent: Prince Harry. As headlines scorched his wife and Archewell scrambled, Harry gave no statement, no defense. Insiders say he was either working behind the scenes to contain the damage or simply burnt out, watching everything fall apart. Meanwhile, the numbers told the story. In the US, support for the Sussexes dropped over 30% in a year. Globally, their brand had become a cautionary tale. Sponsors walked, collaborators ghosted. The once glamorous image was now a liability. Behind closed doors, Meghan was reportedly livid. Sources say she bombarded Perry with emotional texts, accusing him of betrayal and damaging her legacy. But Perry never replied. His silence said it all. More insiders came forward. A publicist claimed Meghan's team used loyalty like currency. A former staffer called the work culture walking on glass. And executives? They were quietly backing away. Then came the numbers. Streaming down, engagement stalled, investors nervous. What once felt like a movement now looked like a brand unraveling. Tyler Perry didn't shout. He didn't leak receipts. He just spoke, clearly, calmly, and with precision. And that's what made it deadly. Because in Hollywood, when the image breaks, there's nowhere left to hide. So, was this the moment Hollywood finally saw through Meghan's facade? Or is there still more to come? Either way, one thing's clear. When someone like Tyler Perry speaks, the world listens. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because the next chapter in this saga might be even messier. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.